Well, hello there. How are you today? Hope you're having a fantastic day. Thanks for joining me. And it's time once again to have a look at the strange realm we find ourselves in. And 2026 has started off with a bang, hasn't it? There's a lot going on. Obviously, the whole Venezuela thing. So we're going to have a look at a couple of clips to do with that and my perspective on what's going on and what it's really about, right? Because as we know, whatever they show us on the news, it's just casting a spell, a broadcast, right? Stuff they want us to believe. And it's the magician's trick. They always want us to look at the hand in front, right, while they're doing something with the hand behind their back, right? So when these big stories like this, it's always, in my opinion, that they're hiding something, that they're getting us to focus on one thing while they go and do something in the background. So let's jump into it. But I must say, this is all just for entertainment. All right. You always must do your own research, be autodidactic, of course, because self-education is the way forward. So let's jump in.
This is a standard Holy Bible. It has the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the Apocrypha. It was made in 1818. From Adam unto Christ are 3,974 years, 6 months, and 10 days. And from the birth of Christ unto this present year is 1815. Then the whole sum and number of years from the beginning of the world unto this present year of our Lord God 1815 are 5,789 years, 6 months, and the said odd 10 days. And it lists the creation day 4004 BC. Here's my 1863 Cassell Publishing House Bible. And again, right at the front, the creation date is 4004 BC. 4004 BC, the date of creation, to the year that they were writing or editing the Bible, 1815, was 5,789 years, 6 months, and 10 days. And since then, it's been 211 years. 2026 is the 6,000th year.
Wow, the 6,000th year. Interesting. And, I've talked about this before. Our time is off. We don't know what time it is. We just don't. It's crazy. All the calendars are wrong. And, saying that, many different countries and cultures around the world are in different years. The whole world's not in 2026. Like there's many different years out there that people believe they're in. And of course, this is done on purpose to put us in a place where we don't know when we are. And this is it, right? We don't know when we are, who we are, where we are. It's all a script. It's all diversion, right? To get us focusing on things, to get us confused. So basically, we're easier to control. And you can see here, now this is Wikipedia. Yes, I don't trust Wikipedia, obviously, but it does give us the dates here. So you can see the Gregorian calendar, which is what we're in, 2026. Then we've got the Abe Herb Condita. They're in the year 2779. Armenia are in 1475. Assyrian, 6,776. And you can see all the way down here. Baha'i, Baha, is that how you call it? Baha faith. The year 182, right? We've got 1432, 2900, all the way down. These are all different years that people are currently living in, or at least believe they're living in. And look at this. There's so many of them, right? I don't Unix time. I don't know what that is. 176 million or no, what is it? 1 billion. Oh my God. But you can just see here, right? 558, 2.5. So all of these years are different, but these are all years that people in these countries and cultures believe they're living in, just like we, under the Gregorian calendar, believe it's 2026. But like we just saw in that clip, what year is it? Because, I've said it before and I'll say it again. We have the weirdest calendar because our calendar does not even start at the start. It starts in the middle somewhere, right? Because we have BC and AD. We don't start at the year one. It's crazy. So, what year is it really? Is it the year 6,000, like we just heard? I don't know, but please let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Why do you believe what you believe? Prove it. without using NASA or any other space agency, the government or military of any country in the world. Why would I say that? NASA has been proven to be liars time and time again. I could spend a whole weekend here showing you the lies of NASA. How many of you believe your government is 100% honest and can be trustworthy? And how many of you know the military answers to their government? Okay, so if those three sources are all proven liars, why would you trust them? Fool me once, right? Shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I say, continue to believe pathological liars and you're an idiot. But that's what we've all done. And so, I look at these stuff, we've all seen the textbooks, we've all seen the videos and movies and all these things, and there's so much of it. Do you know what the budget NASA has? You know how much they get? How much money they get? Have you seen the movie Gravity? Okay. That's made for about $100 million, give or take. And if you saw the movie Gravity, that was pretty impressive. I saw it on IMAX, big screen, like, wow. I mean, I felt like I was with Sandra Bullock flying around in space, freaking out myself. Okay, this is what they're able to do with $100 million. What are you able to do with tens of billions of dollars a year since the 60s?
Now, in my opinion, we're being lied to not only about the shape of the Earth, we're being lied to about the very nature of reality itself. In 1954, Admiral Richard Byrd, a highly decorated naval officer, conducted an interview where he alluded to the idea that there may very well be land beyond the poles.
Admiral Byrd, you've been to both the North Pole and the South Pole. Is there any unexplored land left on this Earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes, there is. But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
That's a tremendous
So
challenge.
there's a lot of adventure left down at the bottom of the world.
Well, Admiral, do you hope to see that?
We don't know. That's the big problem. We don't know where we are. Okay? That's what we're all trying to figure out here. But there is the Antarctic Treaty where, 53 or so nations have signed saying that no one's going to lay claim to Antarctica and that there are massive restrictions for travel there. You can't just get up and go to Antarctica on your own. You have to have a tour guide with you, and there are only certain entry points, and there are limits on where you can go search.
Personally, I think the unconquered South face is the only one worth scaling. It's a 20,000-foot sheer wall of ice, but that's never stopped me before. Welcome.
No, I just want to stand on top of the wall and piss off the edge of the world.
What difference does it make? What difference does it make? Yeah, that's their favorite line. Got a lot of people, what difference does it make? You can't figure out what difference it makes? If you can't figure out what difference it makes that the people running your world have lying to you over and over your whole life, if you can't figure out that someone lying to you is trying to control you, suppressing of information, of knowledge is control. Deception of information and knowledge is a form of control. So what difference does it make? It makes a big difference, because once they start omitting information or lying about information about where you live, they're doing it to control you. Period. Why am I having to explain this to critical thinkers in the truth movement? The way you control billions of people is to keep them divided and fighting each other. Flat Earth is not a psyop. Flat Earth destroys the psyop. Every psyop that's been used to control us. for as long as they've known about it. So this system has been in power and control for hundreds of years, ever since they convinced the rest of the world that they didn't know where they lived. It created this fantastical scenario to make people feel insignificant and to follow those that appear to know better. Why is the flat earth so important? Because it shows the deception. And if everybody would just come together and demand answers, they would be in checkmate. They would not know what to do.
Train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
Yes, well, as the Jesuits say, right? Give me a boy until he's 5 and I'll show you the man, which basically means what they said at the end of that video. If you program a child until they're 5, that becomes their reality. But the big thing here is, who are we believing and why? Like, this channel is called autodidactic, to be self-educated, not to be screen educated, not to be government educated, to be self-educated, to be able to get your own perspective. And of course, you cannot get your own perspective with one point of view. If you've got one point of view, you're being told something, you're being led down a road. You need a minimum of 3 points of view to be able to make a decision. And again, all of this information is coming from agencies and people that we know we can't trust, that we know are liars, that we know are stealing from us, treating us like slaves, looshing off our energy, right? Vampires. So let me know. Are you a flat earther? Are you a ball earther? Are you a crater earther? Like there's a lot of different scenarios here because this is the thing. We actually don't know where we are, right? I believe that it's not a ball spinning through space. I believe that you need a barrier between a vacuum and a pressurized system. It's basic physics. What's above the firmament? I couldn't tell you. Ocean is my best guess that space is the ocean, right? I've just done 5 or 6 podcasts, linked below, on Tartaria Australia, talking or asking the question, do aliens come from the ocean? And if we're asking that question and the ocean is also above us, well, where are they coming from, right? But just because the space, I don't believe that space as NASA shows us exists or is real, right? The whole vacuum thing. And again, with that, like the whole sci-fi movies, right? And shows about space came out in the 50s and it was pushed and pushed and it became the big thing. And guess what? Less than 20 years later, they were in space, right? It's predictive programming. And now there's this big space thing, Star Wars, everything, and people who study the stars and the infinite nothingness. But it's all based on facts given to us by NASA, right? We don't know what's up there. What are stars? Look at star in a jar. Is it energy, like frequency in water? Because that's what it looks like. And if it's water, where's the edge of that water? Right? Like, are spaceships actually submarines, that are floating through this water? We don't know, right? Like, it's an edge. It's an edge. And I think the biggest thing about being self-educated is not to judge. Because once you judge something, you cannot learn anything more about it, right? You've just told yourself it's either right or it's wrong. And when you know something is right or it's wrong, you can't learn anything else about it, right? Because you already know everything. You know the facts, or you think you do. So I would say don't judge information. It's just all interesting. It's interesting until we get more information, right? And as we get more information, we get better conclusions and better perspective, and we can make a better decision on the information that we're looking at. But please let me know, what do you think? Where are we? What is space? Where do the aliens come from? Right? Because there's definitely, that's one thing I know for sure, at least in my opinion. Don't have to believe me, and please don't believe me. Do your own research. Come up with your own conclusions. But there definitely seems to be other entities down here, right, that aren't us. So where did they come from? Beyond the ice wall, from above the firmament, right? The space, which might be the ocean. Like where are they coming from? How are they getting in? Other dimensions, right? Like who knows? We just don't know. And for me, that's the best place to be if you are going to be self-educated. Have your mind open, right? Because your mind's like a parachute. It doesn't work unless it's open. But let me know your thoughts because I would love to hear them.
This is a pretty interesting map. 1587 shows dry land outside around maybe Antarctica, and all the worlds are connected everywhere, and there's land up in the Arctic. Not only that, we found cyclops, griffins, dragons, what else? There's so many other beasts and creatures we found on this one, like, there you go right there. I don't know if that's a giant or just somebody fighting something. I don't know. It's crazy. But if you want a link to this, hit me up in the comments. I'll send it over to you. You can check this craziness out for yourself. And this right here, look at that. Brasilia Regional. This is not Brazil. This is that high Brazil or the other place, because when you go here, you'll see where Brazil is at. Brazil is way over here. Check it out. That's Brazil. This is wild. Oh, and then check this out. Sorry, it's upside down. I could probably flip it. Let me see. There you go. You can see it now. But there was another area here. You have some mermaids. But yeah, that one right there, we showed that last time too. That was pretty crazy. But yeah, it's pretty wild. It shows land all the way around, dry land. But not only that, it shows everything pretty much connected. And then check out, like, even where you'd have this little area right here where you'd have like Russia and Africa, you go down here, and this is Japan. Look how big Japan is. I know I gotta flip it again. That's crazy to me. So I just found it really interesting, and just thought it was cool and wanted to share this map with everybody because it was so neat, and there's so many different animals drawn on here that are different. And then all the land going around it, and then like you have some of these little passageways that are showing. It's just so neat. And there are several maps he made like this. This one's a circular one here, and it actually has even some writings inside here as well. But there's a couple others that he had made. This map, when it's put together, I think it's like 9 foot by 9 foot. It's pretty wild. Anyways, I'll be doing more of these. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the support. And until next time.
Yes, one of my favorite maps, the Montes Planisphere from 1497, I believe. It's not 9 foot by 9 foot, it's 10 foot by 10 foot. If you want to check it out, David Rumsey, RUMSEY.com. Just scroll down to the bottom of the first page and you can check the whole thing out. And it's a very interesting map because it shows Hyperborea, right? The 4 continents in the middle at the Arctic, which you can find on many, many maps pre-1700. It's pretty much on all of them. And it's a flat Earth map, and all the continents are different sizes. He showed Japan, but if you look at all of them, they're all different shapes and sizes than what we're shown today. And, there's a few reasons for that. One reason that all the continent country sizes are distorted is because they've turned a flat map into a ball, right? Which means you need to cut out around 50% of that map to make it wrap around a ball. But the other thing is the ocean levels seem to be different, right? Different heights. They seem to be lower, which is very interesting, right? Because we have sunken cities all across the realm. They're everywhere. Definitely off the coast of Japan. We have Yonaguni, right? And the outer rim, all of those continents on the outside that we're told no longer exist, right? We're told that is the bottom of a ball, right? That's Antarctica. Of course, the traditional flat Earth map would say that that's the ice wall. So what does that mean? Are they continents that have been iced over, right? Frozen to create a barrier? And if that's true, then how long's the firmament been here? How long has there been a firmament? I mean, I guess it would have to always be there, right? If there's waters above or a vacuum or anything like that, there needs to be a barrier. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Did the firmament shrink, right? Did it get closer in? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. And of course, all of the interesting creatures that we hear about all through our ancient texts, dragons, right? Minotaurs, giants, cyclopses, all this stuff. And of course, the mermaids, the mermen, the merpeople, right? The seahorses that they ride. They're, again, all through all the old maps. Is that showing us that there was a civilization under the ocean, right? And when they came up and, they got spotted, right? And so they're showing us where these civilizations are by showing us the mermen, the mer people that were that civilization. I mean, it's a very interesting map. But what this map and many others like it point out to us is that the realm we find ourselves in, the world, it's not what we've been told. Like everything changed early last century, right? The sort of 1930s, 40s, everything went global. And where do we find ourselves now? Ruled by globalists. They call themselves that. So it's very interesting, but the point is, we just don't know. We don't know. As Graham Hancock said, we are a species with amnesia. And it's not that we don't remember. Well, we don't remember, but it's because we've been programmed. All the old stories have been taken away. What was true has been turned into myth and fantasy, right? And what is fantasy and myth and made up, we've been told is reality. And we've been indoctrinated through 12 years of Rockefeller schooling. But please let me know your thoughts in the comments below.
What if I told you all the presidents, and I mean all of them, were still alive?
A week ago, I put out this video, and it got tens of millions of views across all my platforms. And when I said all of them, I meant all of them. And for those of you that didn't see it, I'm going to catch you up real quick, and then I'm going to continue to show you all of them. You know who, and Miss Maxwell, and Andrew Jackson, and Mrs. Jackson. Miss Maxwell, Miss Jackson, and like I always say, they bring their wives with them. Robin Williams and his wife, Teddy Roosevelt and his wife, George Washington, Martha Washington, Glenn Close's husband. And it doesn't get much more clear than that. President McKinley, Jeff Daniels, President Fillmore, Alec Baldwin. But like I said, this is about all of them. And well, if Teddy was Robin, do you think Franklin Roosevelt is maybe someone of today? Here is Franklin Roosevelt. Nah, you don't recognize him. Well, what if we get a younger picture? How about now? Does he ring any bells? What if I do that? You want to see what their wives look like? Well, here's Franklin's wife, Eleanor, and I couldn't help but think she looked a little bit Hispanic. Do you know who Ryan Gosling's married to? An amazing coincidence. Oh, and here's Eleanor when she's a little younger. Same lips. President John Tyler and actor John Cushing. They couldn't look more similar if they were looking in the mirror. Moving on to President Johnson. Does he resemble anyone to you? Well, what if we put him right next to Tommy Lee Jones? You want to see what their wives look like? Tommy's wife, Andrew's wife. And you know what I keep saying, right? They're not human. They're fallen angels, which are referred to as stars in the Book of Enoch. You know what else I also say is that they always tell us the truth. And listen what Walter White, a.k.a. Bryan Cranston, had to say in Breaking Bad.
This one for you? Yeah, see, Presidente Grant, very important man. See?
Presidente Grant, as in Ulysses S. Grant, who Bryan Cranston just happens to share an amazing resemblance to. But that's it, right? Just a resemblance. They couldn't at all be the same entity, fallen angel who can shapeshift, but their scars and their markings remain the same because they're permanent. Ulysses S. Grant, Bryan Cranston. Special shout out to a few of my amazing subs on the FB platform because they actually found a few of these. It wasn't all me. But of course, all this for entertainment purposes. I don't really think that Martha Washington is Glenn Close's husband. And I definitely don't think fallen angels are here getting us to worship them in the political world, the music world, the TV world, the athletic world over the Most High Heavenly Father as revenge for banishing down here. I don't really think that. I'm a satire account. It's for entertainment only, people. Have a nice day.
Yes, well, the fittest flat earther, he's been going down this road for quite a while now. And I showed a similar clip a couple of days ago, and I just wanted to show it, this one, just to highlight that, some of those faces look extremely alike, don't they? With famous people. It's very interesting. So what does that mean? Are these people, these beings, are they vampires? Are they, with extended lives? Are they not human in another way? Are they using certain substances, that have chrome in the word to elongate their lives to keep them youthful? Because then we also have all these pictures of like Martha Stewart, right, who's in her 80s, and some photos came out last year, and she looks like she's 40. The Kardashian, the Mrs., the mother, same thing. And then we have people like Miley Cyrus, who looks like a completely different person, and Kelly Osbourne, the same thing. What is going on here? Is it clones? Is it cloning? Do they just re-clone these people and they look the same and they get elongated life that way? Or are they just replicas of each other? I mean, are they robots? We just don't know. But what it proves to me, what it's pointing out is they're not who we think they are. They are not who we are told they are. Something is going on here. And this is kind of the point of this video, right? We don't know where we are. We don't know what this place is. We don't know who these elites are, right? These people who wish to control us. We don't know much about anything really because everything we know has been told to us by people who want to control us, by people that we know lie, right? So we're in a very interesting position, but I do believe that we're also in the middle of a frequency change from negative to positive. The charge is changing, so the people in charge will be changing as well, right? That the people in charge, in sync with the vibration that has been, were the negatives, right? Clearly, we were in a negative frequency. So those who were negative were in charge. Now, as it goes to a positive charge, the people in charge will be positive. And this is why the whole system is collapsing around us. And of course, the elites own all the media, all the internet, all the social media, the news, the education, the medical, the entertainment industries. It's all owned by the same people. And this is where we get 99% of our information, at least the general public do, right? So they control all the information. So they control literally our version of reality. And we are living in their version, what they want us to believe is real, because we don't know anything else, right? It's all we've ever known. But 2026 is here. The change is here, the polarity change, the shift, the whatever you want to call it, right? The split, the going into the 5D world, all this kind of stuff. It's here, and I think we're in for a big year. Like I said, 2026, it's only what, 5, 6 days old, and it started with a bang already.
You to say the first Chinese may have been black, you just erased your own people and history and gave the Wabos the history. You have no honor. So first of all, I just had to Google Wabo, and it means wannabe aboriginals. Make of that what you will.
You may be wondering, were there even blacks in China? And the answer to that is yes. There were indeed blacks in ancient China. The skeletal remains from southern China are predominantly Negroid. In northern China, the blacks founded many civilizations. The three major empires of China was the Jia dynasty, the Shang Yin dynasty, and the Zhao dynasty. The Zhao dynasty was the first dynasty founded by the Mongoloid people in China, called the Hua. Chinese civilization began along the Yellow River. Here the soil was fertile, and black Chinese farmers grew millet 4,000 years ago, and later soybeans. They also raised pig and cattle. By 3500 BC, the blacks in China were raising silkworms and making silk.
I want to know something that nobody's ready for in 2025 except for those who already seem to fucking know it. Black people, they are the aboriginals of every continent. Dark-skinned people are the aboriginals of every continent. Native Americans migrated over the ice bridge from Siberia, that would be Asia, and became what we now know as Native Americans.
If Native Americans originally descended from a cave in Yunnan, China, does that mean that the first Americans were Chinese? Current Biology magazine released a scientific study that links the DNA of modern-day Native Americans to a group of people who used to live in the caves of Yunnan, China. The Red Deer Caves. Here is a photo depiction of what they looked like. All right, so what is new about this information that is on top of the fact that, Native Americans crossed the Bering Strait? Well, basically, it just says that there's a third group of people, not just Siberians, not just Central Asians, but people from essentially modern-day Southeast Asia, because, the Red Deer Caves at borders Myanmar, Laos, Vietnam, they're the ones that became Native Americans.
But the people who were on that land before them and the ice bridge even formed were black people.
Black people, they don't want you to believe that. They don't want you to know who you are because you're Indian. Not those type of Indians. The ones in America. Not in the 7-Elevens. In the reservations. You were indigenous to this land. And you own this promised land. But they don't want you to know that.
So this guy's upset because I talked about the research findings of Professor Jin Li of Shanghai's Fudan University, indicating that there is ancient black ancestry among the Chinese people. This professor talks about ancient migration patterns between Africa and Asia dating back some 60,000 years. And you can even see the likeness today when you compare the features of Chinese people and the Khoisan people of South Africa.
I think we should all be happy with that because, after all, modern humans from different part of the world are not so different from each other, and we are very close relatives.
Cultural hero Huang Di is a direct link of Africa. His name is pronounced in Old Chinese as Yuhai Handi or Hu Nak Kunte. He was supposed to have arrived in China from the west in 2282 BC.
See, I think he was going to say. It just points out again, we still don't know what's going on in this world and where everyone came from. One point I found interesting is, they were saying the Bering Ice Bridge, right? Is where they say that's where the Native Americans came across. Could that maybe be a reference to the ice wall? Did they come from outside? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. But I definitely believe that what we're being told is incorrect. I do believe that the black people of the Americas are basically the Moors. They are the natives. They weren't brought in by slave ships. And you just need to, do a little bit of research on that topic, on slave ships, on how many slaves were apparently brought in, how many ships they had, how many, people they could fit on each ship, and the whole story falls apart. It makes no sense at all. With the Indians, or the American natives that we were taught were Indians, did they come across from Asia, across the ice bridge? Well, I've done some research on this, and I don't believe they did. I'll have to do a longer video on this, on this topic, but just look into the Filipino slave trade of the 1500s, and you'll get a whole different perspective of what's gone on in the Americas, because they invert everything. And it's my opinion, and it's just my opinion. Do not, follow me just because, don't believe what I say. Make up your own opinion. But from the research I've done, I believe that it's completely inverted, that the blacks are the natives and the native Indians are not. They're actually the descendants of slaves. Like I said, check out the Filipino slave trade. Um, and one thing I don't like about that video is this whole race thing. People sort of saying, well, my race is better than yours. My race started everything. For one, we don't know. And for two, like the guy at the end of that said, we're all the same. We're all the same. It's not us against our neighbors or our fellow men and women from different cultures and ethnicities. The battle here is us against the elites. And this is how they get us to fight each other. It's the magician's trick again. They put one thing out, they point around, look, it's your neighbor who's doing this, they're so bad, but it's always them, all right? Just creating division, which makes us easier to control. But please do leave me your thoughts on that. And thank you for spending some time with me. Please do give me a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and of course, leave me your comments. Let me know what you think about all this, because I like to read them. And I do just want to say thank you to everyone who does comment. I do read them, at least as many as I can. There's lots of them, but they are so overwhelmingly positive and full of love, and that they're amazing. And I just want to thank everyone who has commented for your amazing comments. It's just very nice to read them. It's nice to know that you guys are getting something from these videos that I'm making, and that's the reason why I'm keep making them. As long as I can help people ask better questions and get different perspectives, then I believe I'm doing something of value. So a big thank you to you all.
I'm Chris Gilbert in Caracas, Venezuela. Here we are near Miraflores Palace. People have come together to defend the Bolivarian process, to defend the government, to defend our President Nicolas Maduro. Last night at approximately 2 a.m. in the morning, we were bombed by the United States of America. The greater Caracas area was struck at a number of locations. People were killed, buildings were destroyed, infrastructure was destroyed, and they unfortunately terribly seized President Nicolas Maduro and his wife. They kidnapped them and took them to the United States. Here we are rejecting this horrible violation of sovereignty, not just sovereignty of Venezuela, not just against the Bolivarian Revolution, but against all nations and peoples of the region and in the world who desire to be free, that desire to maintain their sovereignty and pursue human emancipation. Here, we are in control of the situation. The government is in control of the situation. There will be no transition to another government. We are calling to peoples in the world to reject this. We want the president back. We reject this violation of our sovereignty, our dignity, and our right to pursue our own path forward. Down with U.S. imperialism.
Well, Venezuela, I think by now we've all heard the story. We've all seen what's going on. And of course, as always, there's always two points of view, because division, right, makes us easier to control. And, I agree with, some of the things that he said. Basically that men and women get to make, should get to make their own decisions about what happens with their country and their sovereignty. He was calling him, he was saying humans and, sovereignty, which you can't have both. You can't be both. One's corporate and a fiction, and one's a living man or woman. But as far as politics go, it's a game. It's a show. It's the greatest show on earth. I don't believe any of it. I believe it's all sleight of hand. So I definitely haven't, judged this as good or bad, right or wrong, or anything that anyone did. I think there's a much bigger story behind it. But let me know your thoughts. What do you think was going on or did go on in Venezuela?
This is a message for my American friends watching the news today in English. There is a serious inaccuracy in the coverage. Venezuela is not undergoing a regime change. Venezuela already has a democratically elected president, Edmundo González. He is the president. Nicolás Maduro is not the president. He never was. He stole the last election and led a criminal organization linked to terrorism and drug trafficking, El Cartel de los Soles. And today, thanks to the vision and courage of the Secretary of State Marco Rubio, the decisive leadership of the President Donald Trump, and the actions of Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, the United States has finally recognized a fundamental truth. Protecting our hemisphere from terrorism, drug cartels, and authoritarian ideologies is a matter of national security for the United States.
Well, there we go. The 2 points of views that they want us to fight about. America good, America bad, right? Orange man good, orange man bad. Like I said, I think this is the show in the 2D world. Everything we get shown on the news and all this stuff, it's a circus, right? It's just to create division and arguments between people. I'm right, you're wrong. That's the basic crux of it, right? What's really going on? Well, I mean, it's an edge. Who knows? I'm not judging it. I find it all interesting, and I'm getting more information. But if you've looked into it, you would have heard that China has got military ships, navy ships, out in international waters off Venezuela. And is this really about drugs and a drug cartel? I don't know. An interesting point I'll just put in here is the Secretary of War. That position used to be called the Secretary of Defense. Now it's the Secretary of War. Interesting. But there's something else going on behind the scenes. And it's always, most will always follow the money, right? It's to do with money. It's to do with valuable minerals. It's to do with gold and mainly silver. As far as I can tell, I've done a bit of research into this. And of course, it's not what we're being told. There is other stuff going on behind the scenes.
So silver just crushed everything this year. It just became the third most valuable asset in the world. And China just did something very strategic. They stopped selling silver. Why? So let me just zoom out and explain this from the context of gold and silver. So gold is about bringing back the trust in money. It's about the reserve currencies and what backs them, which in China's case will be gold. And that's why China spent the last few decades building the Shanghai Gold Exchange. They're expanding what people call the gold corridor, and they're publicly buying as much gold as they can. And they're doing that to tell the world, hey, if you want a monetary system outside the control of the US dollar and the US empire, this might be the solution. A money that is backed by gold, stored in your countries if you want, or in ours, one which will consider Basel III, which means you can use it as collateral to borrow money from us if you want to build your country's economies. Okay, now silver plays a very different role in this story. Silver is not about trust in money. Silver is about controlling a very important resource that makes the world work the way it does. And that's because silver is used in everything. Solar panels and electric cars and data centers, military electronics, satellites, everything. It's considered one of the best electrical conductors on Earth. But unlike gold, when silver gets more expensive, industries don't stop buying it. They don't just wait for the price to come down because they have to use it. Which is also why one of the biggest theories about silver and gold is that for the last few decades, their prices have been suppressed and controlled to be as cheap as possible for as long as possible. But over the next decade, the demand for silver is expected to go up because of all of these applications like AI and robotics and automation and everything that the government wants control over. And because China now controls most of the refining and processing, and now the export rules, China will have a huge say in who gets access to this material and who doesn't. So this story is a lot bigger than silver going up in price and beating everything this year. I want to break down exactly what China just did with silver and how all of this fits into the bigger picture of the US-China rivalry and what it means not just for commodities, but for global markets and investors, even for people who don't own any silver at all. So with that said, let's get into it. Hi, my name is Andre Jick. Hope you're doing well. Come for the finance and stay for the silver.
Precious metals. Money, the money system. We all know, or I hope you know, that 1933 is when the Fed was brought in. That was the start of bringing in fiat currency, which is money that is not backed by anything valuable, not backed by gold. All of our coins used to have gold and silver in them. Right? They would actually hold the value in the coin. Now it's paper that's printed and it's not backed by gold or silver anymore. Right? It's called the petrodollar. And that is basically just a currency that can be manipulated. And we're seeing this at the moment with the massive inflation in the cost of living, in housing especially, right? But also food, petrol, gas, electricity, all these things, all these necessities of life have gone through the roof. Why is that? Well, one reason is that they can print as much money as they want, right? So it's not that the houses are getting more expensive, it's that your dollars are worth less. So you need more of them to buy the same thing, right? So it looks like everything's getting expensive, but I think the truth is the dollar's just buying less and less and less because they're putting more and more of it out into circulation, right? It's the old rule of supply and demand. And, we heard China was in this, all the countries need silver, and China are putting out that they are pushing for a gold-backed currency, and they want to help, or at least that guy said, other countries to do the same. What would that mean for America? Well, it would basically crash their dollar, it would crash their economy, and it would take their power away. So has this got something to do with what's going on in Venezuela? Because what I've heard, what I've done, what I've seen, done a bit of reading on, is that Venezuela owed China a lot of gold and silver, tons and tons of it. And that's why China is in the ocean off Venezuela. It was there to collect. And maybe the Don swooped in and took it before they got there. I don't know. What do you think? Like I said, do not believe what I'm saying. Do your own research. Be self-educated. And this, by the way, is definitely not financial advice. Always do your own research.
China just broke the silver market, and Elon Musk just tweeted that this is not good. On January of 2026, China is ending the sale of silver. China actually controls 60 to 70% of the world's total supply of silver. So this is actually a pretty big deal. There are two primary markets for silver in the world, COMEX and Shanghai. They're more of a paper market, meaning that people don't go to COMEX to buy bars and coins, but they will go there to buy futures and options. Shanghai's market, on the other hand, is more based on physical demand. Now, companies that need silver for manufacturing could buy directly from Shanghai. Sometimes the really big guys, let's say Samsung, for example, they will just go enter into really long-term contracts directly with mining companies. One of the signals for the silver market breaking is actually the price differential between the two big markets. In the past few days, there's been upward of a $6 differential or a spread between Shanghai and COMEX, which almost never happens because this creates arbitrage opportunities. Make sure you stay tuned for my upcoming video if you want to know how I feel about the asset bubble that we're in.
Again, this is not financial advice, but you might want to have a look into the silver market, into actual silver, I should say, because a lot of the silver markets, people are trading it. They believe that they're buying it, but they're not. They're buying paper versions of it. They're not buying the physical stuff. So if you are looking into this, again, do your own research, but the physical silver may be a better option than buying, derivatives, this false economy of shares and markets and all this kind of stuff. Uh, and it might, we're going through a lot at the moment financially in the world. The whole financial market is being restructured. It looks like we could be close to some kind of a collapse just because basically we've been, well, like I said, they've been printing money willy-nilly for years now, right? We heard about it back in 2020 with Biden, and other countries were doing it too. Definitely Australia. Every country that's going through this housing, crisis, their countries have been printing too much money. And this is the problem. When it's not backed by anything, you can print as much as you want and you can manipulate economies. So 2026 is going to be a big year. It's going to be an interesting year. And it's definitely a year to be self-educated, to be aware of what's going on, and to get some good information and to make some good decisions. Because I think the world we're going into is going to be a lot different than the world that we're used to. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I definitely believe it's going to be better, but it just might be a little bit of a rocky road in between, right? As the frequencies shift, right, from one cymatic shape, right, one perfect geometry, cymatic shape to another. In the middle, there's always that confusion, right, where everything goes haywire for a bit. So, yeah, buckle up.
They've got to get consent from you.
So, have they not already got consent?
How can they possibly?
So how do they go through the process of getting consent without you being aware of it?
Penalty fine, classic fixed penalty fine, right?
Okay.
A fixed penalty notice. A notice is an offer. They're offering you something.
You're going back to the definition now of the word notice.
But this is legalese. This is a different language.
Let's do this.
This is the language of the law society.
Okay, let's go back to this. Let's look at the word notice. What does notice mean?
It means it's an offer. Basically, they're offering you something. And what they'll do is they'll offer you something. They're offering you the ability to pay them some money. So it's a contract. They're making you an offer. You've got to consider it, and there's a consideration built in, and the consideration is that if you pay within 7 days, then it's half the price that we're saying it is. And if you don't pay within a certain 24 days, whatever, 14 days, it's the price that we're saying it is. Right, very cleverly done. You've been offered something, the chance to pay them some money because you're in statutory violation, okay?
You're in violation of the statute because you've sped, presumably, or whatever you've parked on a yellow light.
They lock into the contract the consideration. Yeah, there's a consideration. If you pay now, you don't have to worry about it. But also what they're looking is an estoppel by acquiescence. And the estoppel...
Well, let's do it slowly. An estoppel by acquiescence.
Yeah, basically, if you ignore it, then you agree to the terms.
Okay. If you ignore it, you agree?
If you ignore it, what estoppel means is basically, if you do not answer or offer back, because you can't dishonour it, you've got to offer back. This is contract law. You can't go into dishonour.
So, okay. So if, for instance, say you get a ticket for speeding, and it has this offer, and you don't want to be subject to it, what do you do next then?
You offer something back.
What, like a button?
If you want it.
So last video, John Harris is absolutely right, and it's not a lot of freeman bullshit because I've done it myself and I've learned other people how to do it. You just need to know the law and your rights and how to write back to them. Like I state, I always go back to Bill of Rights 1688 when it comes to fines, that all grants and promises of fines and forfeitures of particular persons before conviction are illegal and void, and that is fucking law. They know it, they just know that many people don't know this. These private corporations have got no jurisdiction, no authority to fine you, the living man. Now, if you've gone to court for an actual crime, they can impose a fine upon you then, because you'll be convicted. That's the only way they can get fines out of you. Now, if you ignore it, you accept it, like you said, which is true, that's why they give you 28 days. But then when you're writing back to them with your demands or your offer, you'll get them 28 days to respond to you, as allotted in law. Now, if you write the emails properly, or the notices that you're doing back, they won't contact you again, because you'll take civil litigation against them for harassment and not harmed and distress and trying to extort maybe financial gain. You just need to learn how to speak, people. And the more people that find out all this and challenge them, the quicker all these dodgy, unlawful fines will go away. Anyway, peace out.
Yes, for entertainment purposes only, of course. But yeah, it's a different language. Legalese is not English. English is not legalese. That they try and tell us, they persuade us that it is the same. And when you go to court, when the average person goes to court, they think that the court runs on English. It does not. It runs on legalese. So that means all the words have different meanings than what we think, than what they do in English. But again, do your research, right? All of this stuff is contract law. It only works by us contracting with them, by then sending out a letter with fear, with all these vague threats, and people get scared and they just pay it because they think they have to. And they think they're paying it to a legitimate government, when all these governments are corporations, right? They are all registered as corporations, right? That's why the USA is now the US. That's why in the Australian Constitution there is no mention of even government, let alone things like councils. They definitely don't exist. All right, so the main thing is educate yourself. But I showed this because this is the way that we can get through this a lot easier, is to stop paying these leeches, these parasites, these corporate entities our hard-earned wealth. Stop paying their fines, stop paying their tax, because all you're doing is funding a business, right? It doesn't go, all this money doesn't go to building the countries. We know, right? The countries are falling apart. And people might say, but what about the roads? Well, if you drive on the roads, you're paying for it. Every time you fill up your car with petrol, you are taxed. That money is for the roads. Okay, so income tax is illegal. It is a scam. All the fines are illegal. They are scams, right? But as long as you know, agree with them and you just pay it, well, then you're in the system and you're contracting with them. So you are not a person, you are not a citizen, you are a man or a woman, and your jurisdiction is above corporate entities and governments. It's way above them. They come underneath you. They have no jurisdiction over you or whatsoever unless you give it to them. But there we go. Hope you enjoyed that one. It's a strange role, right, that we find ourselves in. It really is. And to me, self-education is the way forward. We've got to educate ourselves and make better decisions, ask better questions, and act better, right? Take better actions. But please let me know what you thought about all these videos. Love to hear your comments. Again, thank you for everyone who does comment. Please also give me a like. And if you're not subscribed, what the bloody hell are you doing? Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button, and most importantly, stay awesome because you are. And I'll talk to you all on the next upload. Bye for now.